What's up, guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. We're over here at the shop, B&K Performance. We're working on the race car some more. So I'm starting to feel a little bit better. It's one of those things, you know, it is what it is. This race car is going to be hopefully pretty bad. So we're making some progress. Let me show you what we got going on. Our new t-shirts did come in. So make sure if you did not pre-order one, they're available on our website for immediate shipment. Go to turbojohnracing.com to grab it. It's freaking awesome. It looks cool. I really like it. I think you guys will too when y'all get your hands on it. But let me show you what we got going on today. Comment, like, and subscribe. I thank you guys. So it looks a little bit different from the last video. So I did get over here and work on it a little bit, and I didn't film anything because it was work that you work on it and then you take it off, work on it, take it off. And it's like when you get done, it's like you did nothing. So I didn't figure you guys would want to see that. But let me show you what we got accomplished in 4 or 5 hours last time we were here. The motor plate is now permanently mounted. We got 7/16 grade 8 bolts welded to the tab. My welding job turned out okay. I got a piece of 1/8 inch angle. It's 1.5 inches, I think it was. 1.5 inches, and then 1/8 inch thick. And so we were able to prep it and weld it on. And it turned out okay. I mean, there again, I'm not a welder, but I got that one heated on there pretty good. Something I did not think about when I was welding it or drilling the holes is it was super hard to get the drill in here because of where this frame is. I've never done it before, but what we ended up doing, this was Brian's suggestion. We got the motor plates, you know, so that it would fit down in there pretty good. We took his big clamps that are down here, got the motor situated side to side, how high up we wanted it, and, you know, tilt side to side. And then we clamped this to this, and then I tack welded it on, took this back off, and then welded it firmly. Now it looks like 2 different welders welded. This side over here was my first attempt, and of course it is not very good for some reason, but I guess maybe I need to start practicing before I actually start welding on stuff. So I don't know, but anyway, it's gonna hold. It's very secure. In the other car, we ended up having 2 bolts on one side and 1 on the other side. The reason we had 2 on this side, I don't know if you remember, but the mid plate was, or the motor plate was about to fall through the aluminum. So this started life as a big square. And so of course we angled it down over here to make it look a little bit nicer. And then come down here on the bottom and did the same thing, just because this was hanging way down. So we didn't want to, you know, injure any of us when we're working on the car. Now you can see this thing is also got a lot of clearance. So when I get my engine diaper, this thing should have no problem getting that thing on and off. And actually, I think honestly, as high as that thing is, I think we're going to be able to get the oil pan off of it without dropping the K-member or the rack and pinion, which is amazing. So we got this bolted on. The fuel pump actually mounts over here on this side. So we just got our bolt here just finger tight so that we can, you know, like make sure everything was lined up good, which it was. I don't even know where I got this front plate from. Brian had a couple laying around, but the width that this was, when I realized I was not going to cut this out and redo it, I got one that was wider, and it was like 36 inches wide. So we ended up having to cut it off of both sides to make it fit. But it fits nice and tight. Now, one of the things too, now this happened to me a long time ago, and I didn't really think about it. You see people that run their fuel lines right by this area here. On one of my motors, I had the motor plate actually spaced off. It was still protecting the gasket area, and it actually torched the head in the block and throwed a fireball out the gasket area here. Had it not been for my aluminum front plate, it would have torched the fuel line because my fuel lines come right through here. So you have to kind of make a conscious effort to think about fuel lines. And there's a lot of fires that happen because of that. You know, it'll torch the head, and then there's a fuel line or oil line right at that area, and then it causes like a flamethrower. So something to think about. So leaving that high does not hurt my feelings, and it's a good thing because my fuel pump comes right through here, and then the line comes right up and goes over the header. So that's not bad. The other thing we got done in here, we got the steering column back in. We did have to take that off. The mid plate is not yet welded. Brian wants to wait and do that when it's on the lift. He's trying to save my back from getting burned up laying on the floor, which is much appreciated because that hurts when you're laying down there welding. So we'll do that in a week or so. Steering column is back attached. Did also go ahead, and the drive shaft is now permanently installed. We got our transmission support It is on. It's only got one bolt in it because of the alignment issues. That's okay because we're gonna have the mid plate. There are a bunch of cars that don't even run transmission supports when they have mid plates, but we're gonna keep it on there anyway. And you know, this is the this is the transmission mount that come with my other car when I first got it. And I cut the welds off so I can make this adjustable side to side. And something we were kind of thinking about last night, maybe some inconsistencies that we were having with the old car, is this thing moves. I mean, right now I could grab the transmission and kind of move it around a little bit. So, I mean, you know, potentially that was moving a little bit. But the drive shaft fits. The drive shaft fits up in there nice. I am going to have a little bit of problem potentially back there at the cross member. It's a little tight. It's hard to see. The camera doesn't really pick it up. It's about 3 inches, maybe 2.5 inches. And then depends on how much the rear end separates. We'll find out once we get the suspension on it. Drive shaft is actually bolted to the rear end. So mostly we are good to go here. Don't have any, of course, wiring done yet. So we're making progress though. Okay, so what we're going to do tonight, my game plan, I've got the turbo sitting over here on the ground. It's not going to go on yet, but I am going to go ahead and I'm going to go get the fuel pump off the other car. Fuel pump's going to come off. Go ahead and mount the fuel pump on it. Go ahead and get the turbo cross member on. And then once the cross member's on, we're going to go ahead and weld these up tonight, put the caps on this, and then that way we can get a roundabout area where we're going to move the front bar. Because it's going to have to support. We are not going to redo the turbo kit. So since we're not going to redo the turbo kit, I think that's the best thing to do is put the crossover pipe on it and then build the crossover or build the support to the crossover pipe. Now we could do something crazy and mount the turbo like Cletus is way up high, but I don't know if we're going to do that or not. I wouldn't be opposed to doing that, but that's more work. We're short on time. All right, guys, so I went and grabbed the fuel pump off of the race car, and I was going to show y'all this. I've talked about it before, but I never really had it off. This is an Enderly 110. I got this thing used off of Inside Top Alcohol forums, and I've had it, man, for a long time. It actually probably needs to be rebuilt, but it flows pretty good at wide open throttle. At an idle, it's got pretty low fuel pressure because it needs to be rebuilt. But that helps me with my injectors. But anyway, this is a mount that I got. And it's just a lollipop mount. It didn't really fit. You see all the little holes back here. This one was older. So it's got 4 bolts that holds it to the lollipop mount. This is an old Aeromotive bracket that I got that I modified to make it work down here. But the thing I wanted to show you guys, on an Enderly pump, it can go either way. And I don't know if you notice this little tab that is offset in the middle here. With it offset this way with the inlet down to the bottom, that right there is for a normal rotation, which would be this way. So you can make it, they sell them to go off of the cam spud, off of the front of the cam. And when that happens, all you do to make it go reverse rotation is you take these bolts out and this twist, and then it goes over here to this side. And so once this is on this side, now it actually flows in reverse rotation. So that's pretty cool. All right, let's mount this thing up. Boy, that was the world's longest time lapse. So I had to cut that out, so that was very painful, guys. I was like, well, that's about an hour. So it didn't fit originally in here, and the reason why is because this mid plate is just a tad shorter. So this is a little high. And so what I ended up having to do is, instead of mounting it in the location right there that holds the mid plate on, which I never really liked that anyway, it was just one of those things that it kind of happened. That's the way it was. I moved this bracket over this way so that I could drill holes, and we got plenty of room on the back to put a nut. And so this is nice and rigid. Now this belt, something with a cog belt, is you always want it to have a little bit of play because you're dependent on the cogs to actually spin, right? So if this is too tight, then what will happen is it'll actually shred the cogs off. And so general rule of thumb is 1/4 to 1/2. I like 1/2 usually. That's about 1/4. It'll probably stretch a little bit. That'll probably be okay. So I think we'll be fine. Okay, so now, finally, we're ready to, well, no, we ain't ready to put the headers on it. We've got to weld this up first. Crap. got the plates welded on over here. That looks a lot better. Rounded these corners so we don't get blood as often. Not the best looking, but for the most part, okay. I said I'm not a welder, I'm a grinder. But I think that will do just good for what we're doing. So what we'll do, of course, now we're going to put the hot side on real fast, and then the crossover, and then that'll give us a plan. Probably next time over, we'll go get the front end and maybe start trying to figure out how to mount that. Brian was showing me how to mount the tabs. He's got tabs. Basically, put a tab here and a tab here, and then he said one down at the bottom, and then make a mount across here. And then if we do this bar correctly, this bar will come out far enough, and we'll probably just come straight out. I mean, some people angle them down to do different things with them, but we'll make it so that this comes completely out into the bumper area and wherever the bumper is, and then we'll put a couple of Zeus fasteners out here, and then that'll make it so we got basically 2 in the front and 1, 2, 3, 4 over there on each side. So that's more. The other front end was held on with a lot less than that, so that should be fine. Okay, let's put the crossover pipe on real fast. Boom, guys. Well, this is looking more like a race car. So turbo, we already got everything silicone down, turbo pipes on. We may end up, the fuel pump, I was thinking about it, I may end up changing this around a little bit. I gotta see, I might remake this line, which means I gotta take the fuel pump off, of course, because you can't get to that fitting. The way this was run on the other car, it come across the headers, and then I had my fuel filter over here, and then it looped back over and then went here. I mean, it's almost a straight shot. So I could probably, if I can get the fuel filter in line right here, man, that would be so much easier and so much nicer to plumb. It would be super easy. So turbo's on it, throttle body's on it, elbows on it, motor plate's done. All this is done. The end plates turn out pretty good. There again, I'm not a welder. So what we'll do now is go get the front end, like I was saying, and then we'll come out, see where it needs to go, and then we'll create the supports. This is a Monkey Fab plate, so he always does some good plates. Go check him out. He's got a YouTube channel as well. That is not the merge that he done. He sells one with this, with the merge stubbed out Monkey Fab. Man, go do it. Go check him out. Go check out his YouTube channel too. He's got some good products. But we're getting closer, guys. Getting closer, getting closer. Another successful night. Y'all comment, like, and subscribe. Go to turbojohnracing.com. Grab some of those new t-shirts. Thanks, guys. Later.